Welcome to 60 Plus E-Bike Adventures. I'm Gord and I create content for older riders interested in getting into e-bikes. We're not on the road today or even on a bike path. We're in my backyard and today I'm going to show you how I outfitted my bike to carry cargo. Keep in mind, different bike frames are built for different purposes. Not all bikes are cargo bikes. Cargo bikes are especially designed with heavier frames and reinforcements to allow them to carry more load. Remember also, a proper cargo bike is going to have a more powerful motor to pull that load. But you also need to be aware of the maximum payload your bike is designed to carry. Now there are probably a couple of factors in that. One of them obviously is the frame, but the other one is the motor and the amount of work it's meant to do. The more weight you put on the frame and pull with the motor, the less range you have. But also your manufacturer's specifications may indicate that too much weight can harm your motor. So please read your instruction manual carefully. With a little bit of hardware, some Velcro straps, and a lot of measuring, I was able to convert this shopping basket into a rear basket for my bike. These baskets are available at a number of popular retailers. They sell for about $7. They come with carry straps, which are not really necessary because, of course, the basket is fixed to the bike. In addition, I added a tie-down strap, and here's how I use it. As I ride, I find that I don't want to carry all my gear on my back or necessarily wear it, so I can stuff it into the container and use these Velcro straps to tie it down. I've set the strap low so that it can contain any amount of cargo that I'm holding, unlike a bungee, which would really only go over the top. You'll notice that I've added reflectors to the side. That's partly to cover up the corporate branding, but also to create a place where I can secure my Velcro straps. In addition to the mounting hardware, I've used other Velcro straps to secure the container to the rear rack of the bike. How did I put it together? Well, I'm going to take it apart and show you. I've taken it down to the bones, but I've left the straps on and also the sponge padding underneath. Let me explain how that works. All I've done here is taken some basic household sponges and I've strapped them on using zip ties. Additionally, you'll notice that my Velcro straps are also strapped on with zip ties, and I'll explain that process a little bit later. The reason for the sponges is just to create a little bit of a buffer so that I don't get vibration or rattle. Also, because the sponges are flexible, they work against the hardware and give me a tighter fit. Let's take a look at some of the hardware and tools we'll be using today. Let's start with the tools that you're going to need for this job. Obviously, a drill and drill bits to pilot the holes for the hardware. A screwdriver to drive the hardware. Possibly a wrench. I've just got a little multi-tool handy. And also, because you will be using zip ties, it's great to have a nice pair of snips to cut the excess off. Let's talk about hardware now. The carrier is secured to the rear rack using these one-hole straps. These are 3/16 of an inch, I think, which matches the diameter of the tubes on my rear rack. This is the first thing that you're going to look for, and then the size of that hole will determine other hardware that you use. For instance, the bolts, the washer, the nut, the lock nut, and these plumbing washers that are normally used by plumbers for taps and faucets. Here's how it all looks when it's assembled together. On the top, I have the bolt, which is above the surface of the bottom of the plastic container. Then the washer. That reduces tension on the hole so it doesn't crack. Underneath the container goes the one-hole strap, the lock washer, the nut, and finally this little plumber's washer. And the reason I use this is over the course of time, vibration will loosen that nut. If you find a rubber washer or plastic washer that fits really tightly on the threads, it will prevent that nut from traveling. The alternative, of course, is to use a lock nut, and if I were doing it over again, I would do exactly that. But in the meantime, I've got this extra thread, and these have worked really well in keeping the bottom bolt from coming off. Finally, I use this Velcro product that I found on Amazon. It's 16 feet of Velcro plus these buckles for something like $7, and I'll throw up an image in the video. Now, to make the container more secure on the back of the bike, I've added 4 of these Velcro straps. I found this product on Amazon for about $7. I get 16 feet of Velcro strap with these handy little buckles, which I need for some things, but I don't need for others. I'm going to show you how the product works. We are used to Velcro products where you have 2 different pieces that adhere to each other. We're also used to wrap-around Velcro straps that you might use to bundle up yoga mats or other bundles. This is what I call a self-adhering strap. When I fold it over, the Velcro literally adheres to itself. Now, you can make this even handier using these little buckles. I put a buckle on, flip it over. Let's strap up my drill box as an example. I then feed it through the buckle and cinch it off. Now that can be adapted to securing the cargo on your bike. But here's another little trick I came up with. Let's say I don't want to lose this buckle. I want to keep it permanently on the strap, and I don't need to move it because I have adjustability with the other strap. I use zip ties to secure the Velcro. So there's my little zip tie. And I've got a permanent strap. If I want to get fancy, I could slide the buckle around to the other side. Maybe you think it looks a little bit better. I could also flip it over so that the flap is completely concealed. That brings us back to the bike. As you can see, I've already got the straps attached because I know how long they need to be, and I've cinched them with Velcro so they don't slip. The very first measurement I'm going to need to make is to figure out the placement of the container front and back. I don't need to worry about centering or side to side. At this point, what I'm concerned about is having access to my seat, being able to flip my seat up, and being able to pull my battery out without any interference. Now, there are a couple of ways of doing that. One thing I can do to check is possibly just to tape this down lightly with masking tape or Gorilla Tape or duct tape, so I can test the seat and make sure that I can open it and that I can access the battery. Now, from this line of sight, I see that I have plenty of room to get to the battery, but there is another trick you can use if you think you're tight for space. Take any kind of straight edge and line it up with the track for your battery. As we can plainly see here, I've got plenty of clearance to install the bin. Now, in order to get the bin centered on the bike rack, the most important hole I'm going to drill is this first one, along the center line of the bin. Now, you notice that it's off slightly. That's not a huge concern because I can correct for that on installation by merely moving the fastener and the bin just a little bit in the other direction, and then everything is fine. After that, I can correctly place the next 2 holes. This keeps the unit from sliding left and right. This keeps the unit from sliding front and back, and we still have the straps to add for extra security. Since I've already drilled the holes, I'm going to go ahead with the installation, and then we'll talk about straps. Now, one thing I forgot to mention when I was doing the setup was that I use electrical tape or some kind of thick tape wherever I connect the 1-hole straps to the metal. That way there's no scratching, no rust, etc. Let's do with the straps now. Remember that I'm using this amazing self-adhering Velcro which folds over onto itself. Now, for no particular reason, I've chosen to do the flaps on the inside. It's a little bit trickier, but not impossible. And then the flap isn't exposed, so if there's any fraying, it's less visible. So there's one. Now we'll take this one on the other side, fold it over, pull it down as tight as I can, and press them together. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Now, Velcro and zip ties also came in handy when I was setting up my front basket, which came stocked with my bike. First, you'll notice that I have two zip ties loosely attached to the lid. That's because the lid is a snap-on. And just in case I have it heavily packed above the total height of the basket, that hopefully will help the lid from popping off. Looking inside the basket now, I also made a strap to secure my water bottle. I could also use it for a thermal cup. Speaking of my water bottle, I didn't have a basket or anything to hang it with, so I actually made a little strap and clip and carabiner so that I could hang it off my backpack when I finished my ride. And again, you'll notice that I've cinched up the straps with zip ties so they don't wander off. But that's not all. I have this handy silicone smartphone holder on my handlebars. I bought two of them for like $5 or $10. They're not super valuable, and I don't want to have to strip them off the bike every time I lock it up. So I secured one of them with a zip tie going right through the buckle hole. If somebody wants it, they're going to have to work for it. So that's a wrap for today. I'd love to hear your ideas about how to carry cargo on your e-bike. If you have suggestions, please drop them in the comment or share a photograph or video. As always, please like, subscribe, and follow. And if you have any suggestions for future content for 60 Plus e-bike adventures, I'd love to see it.